5. We're going to have a great, fun conversation today. We have on the show Ed Lee, co-founder of Wahoos Fish Taco. And if you haven't had a fish taco at Wahoos, you haven't had a fish taco. So welcome, Ed.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Will.
Yay. So Ed, the big question.
Holy cow, we have days to explain. No, I'm just kidding. Well, you know, March 16th last year, obviously everything shut down. We have not been able to get a grasp of what's going on in a weird way because, you know, the governor kept changing the goalposts all the time on us. So our industry has shrunk a lot. I mean, we took a beating 2020. I think today will be announced that we're at the beginning of our second week of red tier. So that means that next week sometime we'll be able to open 25% of the restaurants. So we're crossing our finger that nothing else changes and no more different tiers or colors and that we can reopen. So that's what we're looking forward to today.
So what do you think? 12 months from now, we're going to be all back to wide open?
I think so. I think, you know, I'm optimistic about that moving forward, we're really going to be back to normal probably by midsummer, in the summer. I mean, if nothing else goes wrong. But that doesn't mean that the industry will be out of the woods. I mean, people think that, you know, all the economy saying like, hey, we're going to be going crazy in the next year. But that all it means to the restaurateurs that we're going to be recovering the damages of the losses of 2020. Our goal for 2021 is to be able to break even. And everybody's saying, wow, because don't forget, it's a loan. A lot of it is a loan. We still have to repay back some of our landlords. So we're still going to be negotiating, trying to clean up our act all the way until the end of 2021. And then hopefully we emerge, get really at the same momentum that we have going right now into 21 is that we'll continue at 22. And that's where I think restaurateurs will be back and surviving.
Mm-hmm. So you guys break even. That assumes that you've got all of your people back on the payroll, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that's our goal. And we're slowly, I mean, we've been very hesitant to bring everybody back all at one time is because if he changes the goalpost one more time, we have to lay them all off again. And that has been really hard on our team. And it's been opening, closing, reshuffling, repivoting. It's just too much, and it costs us a lot of time and money and retraining. So we're holding on a little bit, and we're going to start trickling people in as of beginning of next week. And if the governor does not change anything, I think we'll be hiring back another 20% of our team back, and I'm looking forward to seeing them. I'm really looking forward
maybe by summer, 100% of your slots filled again.
Well, you know, I'm hoping, and that's our goal, obviously, but then also this is the first time, don't forget, that we're all relying whether our governor, the state, not just the government, the country moves forward all the way to that. That means we have to be in an orange tier. Orange County has to be orange.
Right. Well, okay. But I mean, we're talking about the trend is in that direction.
Absolutely.
And obviously we got to be prepared for we weren't prepared for it in March the 16th. So, but I think we're a little bit better prepared now for what's coming.
Absolutely.
So my point is that when you say we're breaking even, that means that the employees are getting their salaries at that point.
Absolutely.
That they're back to work.
Absolutely.
And while the company is not putting a lot of money in the bank, there's not a big profit there. You're moving forward and aiming at paying off the places that you had to beg, borrow, and steal during the COVID constraints. And so that's really a good thing because getting those people back to work is a big contribution to the economy.
Absolutely. Well, the restaurant industry, we're the largest employer, I think, in California. We need to get them all back. We need to get all these employees back. So it's our goal, again, just like I said, it's before the summer, we're hoping that we're at least 80 to 100%, right? So that's 600 employees.
What do you think? What's your take on restaurants that have gone out. You think they're coming back?
Some, the ones that were already teetering, having a hard time 2020, they're not coming back. It's really difficult. California, obviously, one of the most expensive real estate, labor, it's expensive. Workman's comp is expensive. So it's hard to make $1 in California. So I think some of them that sort of had the opportunity to throw in the towel did. Others will kind of reshuffle a little bit. I think there's going to be a lot of changes. I mean, and it's all going to be great changes for our industry. And I think most people that shut down will, once a restaurateur, always a restaurateur. It's in our blood. It's like it's bad, good and bad is in our blood. So they will be back. I just think that they're now this time around, they're going to be much smarter about their second location.
Well, I mean, every one of those restaurant slots that got boarded up is available at some point for somebody to come in with the dreamy eyes and say, I can do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. The restaurant industry is one of the easier, it's not easiest, but everybody thinks it's the easiest industry to get in. That's why we're the #1 also, business in California, right? It's easy everybody thinks they're a chef, so they can come into this industry. So there's going to be a lot of spaces available. Doesn't mean that rents are going to be like everybody thinks, oh, rents are going to be half now because there's so many available spaces. No, this is still Southern California. Rents are still going to be heavy.
Those business owners are still paying the same mortgage.
Yeah, I know.
Renegotiate the mortgage.
Right? So the landlords are still in the same spot. And so we're going to still be, they're going to be a little bit more lenient for sure.
Yeah.
But much more, I think like by midsummer, you're going to see a lot of other restaurants reopening in the same spots that are boarded up right now, but they'll just be different operators for now.
Well, and also every one of the people who was filling the restaurants before March the 16th of last year, they're still going to be here looking for a restaurant when it's available to move, to start taking masks off and start going, right?
Absolutely. Every restaurateur has been sort of sitting on the sideline a little bit. If you start looking at some of the movements that's been happening, it's quietly, but there's a lot of restaurants reopening, getting ready. Like, I've helped a couple other kids to open another restaurants. We've been negotiating since last year. So we've been quietly, you negotiate, and the landlords understand what we're going through. And then, so we've been able to at least get 1 or 2 spots. And so we're gearing, probably be open within the next 6 months too. And so people have been kind of quiet. That's why I say, just wait and see. There's going to be a lot of great new restaurants with the same chefs that are kind of reinventing.
All right, so talk to me about. Yeah, well, I want to hear about that. Now, I want to hear about restaurants themselves reinventing. I mean, we're talking about ghost kitchens. We're talking about delivery. What are we talking about? What's the structure of restaurants that's going to be changing?
Well, one is for sure. Every restaurant now understands that they got to be able to repivot anytime now. It could be anything that could happen again, in the next couple of years. But for sure, takeout is going to be very crucial. We all understood now, high ends. It's going to be part of always in the back of their mind. We got to be prepared. Make sure we have a good menu that it's easy to travel. Like it's tough for the steakhouses, for instance. Like no one's going to take a steak to go because man, by the time you get home, that thing was medium. By the time you got home, it's medium well. So those are the guys that's really going to have a hard time pivoting again. But maybe they create a menu of a burger. They're going to have to do something creative, and that's the future for sure. Ghost kitchens are up and coming, but that I don't know how long that's going to land as a trend because as restaurants get busier again, their kitchen are going to be busy. So it's a great idea for that season of 2020. Do I think that's going to be a good season for 2021? Probably, but 22. Maybe not. It will be lessened, but if you have sort of the ghost kitchen inside for just to go only, those concepts will still last. But if you're trying to kind of do the hybrid where you're going to go into other people's kitchen and do that, those days are going to be numbered because I think the pent up demand to go back out and not only dine, but have cocktails all over again, it's going to explode in the next 6 months.
Yeah.
So.
Well, what about delivery? Now, there's conversations that I'm hearing right now about the delivery services are taking a big chunk of the margins for restaurants, and I've even seen ads that ask consumers to call directly to the restaurant. So, what do you see coming up for the delivery? Is it going to be a delivery service, or are people going to have their own delivery people on the payroll?
We're not going to, no restaurant wants to take on the responsibility of having delivery guys on our payroll. It's just too expensive and it's really hard. But we have to constantly negotiate. Unfortunately, millennials need delivery, and it hurts the restaurant. They don't know how badly it hurts the restaurant to have food delivery. It's 25% of our, which is, it's a losing proposition, but we have no choice but to do that. I'm really disappointed with all the delivery platforms that in 2020, they didn't sit there and kind of helped us survive. They didn't at all. Most of them continue making their profit margins, and it doesn't, it's sort of a slap in the face when they're going public, and you're like, man, in the back of restaurants. And so anyway, I don't want to badmouth that industry, but it unfortunately is an evil. I come home and I get upset with my kid, like, dude, why'd you order food from there? Why don't you just go pick it up yourself? Especially when you're ordering from Wahoos, for Christ, crying out loud. Let me beat you, my son. What have I taught you all these years? But he goes, oh, come on, Dad, I didn't want to drive. It's rainy outside. Oh my God. Anyway, so unfortunately, it's an evil that we have to work with. We got to work it out a better system for delivery, but that's in our future. There's no way around it anymore.
Yeah. So, well, all right. So here come the chefs that have had a wonderful time to sit back and do some thinking in the midst of their anxiety. What do you think is going to change in terms of menu, new concepts, things like that?
So right now, for me, I think in Orange County, first is we're getting so many more younger talented finally coming in, and even some of the guys that have been here for a long time are really looking at the way they're running up. They also now finally, I think they all realize the restaurant is a business, not just about being super creative all the time. So their menus are reflecting that, where they have the basic stuff, which is going to be that burger. There's not a lot of creativity there, but they also realize when they do that, you build a menu for profit, it gives them the leeway to now experiment a little bit more outside the box. So if you look at all the menu trends now, is the menus are really simple, but then given an ability to put in some specials that are a little bit more food cost wise, right? So everybody's doing the same now, and I think simplicity is going to be like the trend for the next year or two. Really get back into, because everybody's going to now understand profit margins a lot clearer than they did 2020. They're going to have to. So I'm excited because I see that, even last year when Michelin came in here, they were all surprised how many people got a nod. How many people got a call from them that they're going to visit them. And I'm proud that like Brian Husky over at Tackle Box, Ross over at Mix, great young chefs, both super talented. So it's fun to see these kids now taking the food to the next level in Orange County. I think in 2022, we're going to get more stars, finally getting some of the young chefs here recognize that they're great talent.
Well, I noticed last week in the Sunday Orange County Register something I hadn't seen before. They were featuring, I think they had 10 different international restaurants. And that was interesting. Now, I'm curious, where can people go to follow creative, new concepts? Where can you go to find that? Where's the website or the book or something that talks about eating in Orange County for excitement?
Well, right now there isn't a lot of the young generation. Unfortunately, they use Yelp a lot, which is fine. But I think this year there was not a lot of websites created, but the diversity of food in Orange County has absolutely exploded. I think the
Mm-hmm.
websites now that we're reopening, it was hard to judge food based on 2020.
Mm-hmm.
What a nightmare, right? So everything, it was not fair to the restaurant because a lot of restaurants got sort of bad reviews because it was food to go. And so you can't really
Yeah.
judge.
Yeah.
So I think the websites now are going to change. The way people find food is all on the internet now, unfortunately. But I still a believer. I'm old school, so I read Orange Coast magazine. I love the OC Register. I still go to the because restaurants have not been open. It's not fair for the writers because they have not been able to go out and eat and write about the foods. But I'm a big follower of Orange Coast, Orange Coast Mag and OC Register. So,
All right. So now, what's share with us what you can about the most creative things that are coming at Wahoos now.
well, for us, we actually hired a new sort of food person to help Wayne come up with more creative ideas and actually keep him in a box so he stops creating things and put us in trouble because when he does a catering, he never plays by the book, and then someone else comes and goes, hey, I had a fish taco done this way, and you're like, damn that guy, because you don't have it in the restaurant. So he's now being Cruz has been hired to I don't want to say babysit because he's going to be on your radio show from the future and he's going to slap me in the head, but somebody's got to contain him in his little box. Says, dude, stop.
Help him to focus on the best of what he can do.
Yes, that's all we're trying to do. But right now, he's been able to have the kitchen to himself and play around all kinds of crazy ideas. And with Cruz, of course, with her approval. So we're playing with new dressings, new seasonings, and working again with products that's so. We're working with, he's really having some fun working with our produce company, our sauce companies, because he's playing around with things that we can duplicate quickly within 22 stores.
Mm-hmm.
And the fun part of our job is that we get to go out to eat anywhere else and then come up with ideas. It doesn't have to be just like another Mexican restaurant. We'll go out to a Persian restaurant and goes, hey, they're using this. Maybe we can tweak this and put it in here. I've been pitching him really hard to do a taquito burrito, but he keeps saying no. But maybe that's what I like to do. I like to build that ultimate burrito, like where, just shove everything in there so I can bite it while I'm driving, So, but I keep arguing back and forth about that one. So, but the menu is going to change a little bit, but not too much. We're still going to have our core. We're just like everybody else in the restaurant industry. We're building what we continue being our staple. Rice and beans, a fish taco. And then we're playing around with all the specials. And right now we have a fiery carnita taco and it's going really well. So.
Excellent. Well, so talk to me about you've been working with young folks, mentoring them. Where is that? Where are you doing that? I mean, is it just your friends that you've known, or is there a place that you're hanging out and meeting these folks?
Well, all the way up to last year, we were doing events between Ocapika, which is Orange County, Asian Pacific Islander. All the restaurateurs are amazing how much they donate. So when you're going to these events, the young kid would come up and say, hey, Ed, how'd you open Wahoos? And I explained to him, I don't know. but that's how the conversation would begin. Like Brian Husky, I met him at the Share Our Strength event through a really good friend of ours. I met Ross at another fundraiser, the Rooster Foundation. So whenever I go with these dinners, I would meet the young chefs and they would ask me the same thing. So Ross, John Park over at Toast, Toast Kitchen and Bakery. So John, there's so many young kids, David over at Lit Cafe. So they're just, picking my brain. Most of what I've been helping them with is, kind of working the lease, designing their space and things like that. And just sort of getting my heads up and giving advice who to use for their attorney or make sure how much money they have. So it's been fun, and it's been fun to taste their foods and watching them grow, into fun restaurants. So
Yeah. Yeah. So just kind of hanging around and asking the question.
right. So it's been fun. All
Right.
these kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
So who was it that got behind Toast Kitchen? Because we've been there and that really is good. I enjoyed it a lot. What
So so
who was
John
behind
Park.
that?
So John Park is the chef, executive chef there. He's amazing. And his whole concept was a challenge, which I never heard about from anyone before in my entire life. Is he wanted to make $1 million to give it away. So that challenge, I said, well, good luck. But he's got an amazing, and he's such a great mentor to his young staff. He really works hard. So it's, so I did partner up with John and open that store with him, because that's a great challenge. He wants to work with veterans, underprivileged kids, special needs kids. So he's taking on a project that John is probably one of the last chefs I know that if our dishwasher's late because he has to take the bus, John will actually jump in and wash dishes. I think the community rallied behind him because he's the most giving person I've ever met in my entire life. And so he's doing super, super well. And then a little shout out for the guy next door, James Mullis. He's got the Phil Bakery, which is a mochi donut. And he's doing well. He's having fun. And so between the two of them, it's been interesting to watch young guys again grow into their place in the community, and it's awesome. It's so it's been fun.
So when you think about these chefs who are behind this, to what degree would you call them an entrepreneur?
All of them are super entrepreneurial. The problem with us entrepreneurs, I always say, is like they don't have somebody to keep them in check. So for Wing and I, we're very lucky. We have a younger brother, Mingo. He's our CEO. So he keeps us in check. You have to have a dreamer. Everybody has to have a dreamer. Everybody has to have somebody that goes, hey, don't ever do that again.
So that's what we call it. I work with the entrepreneurial operating system with EOS, and that's what we call the difference between the visionary, who's obviously Wing, and the integrator. And it's the integrator's job to take the leadership team and help them to work harmoniously toward the vision of the company. And it's the visionary's job to do exactly what you described. Come up with these 20 ideas a month, and half of them are not worth doing. But to not get into these conversations on a day-to-day basis with the employees and with the leadership team, just to be part of it, because it's that big difference. Otherwise, you let the visionary get in there and start trying to direct the team, and it's just this up and down stuff. Yeah. So that's good.
Yeah. I always tell those guys, that's why we start with even the menu, the simple, like, hey, make sure you have a menu that's profitable, and then you're allowed to play with all the specials. So they're all the chefs that I worked with, they all listened and they all paid attention to, hey, you're right, let's make money first and then play around with, like, if you want a lobster roll, God bless you, I love lobster, but that's going to be $27 maybe for a little tiny sandwich. People might look at it and go, hey, I don't know, man, I just spent $30 on a little sandwich, but also people know lobster is lobster, right? So right. But that our team at Wahoos has got such a great balance, because we have such great, like you said, we have great leadership. We allow Wing to do what he needs to do, and that got my little brother that's constantly, he deserves a lot more credit for what he does than what Wing and I do for a living.
Well, that's good. So what do you see going on with real estate in Orange County?
I am right now totally blown away. Housing is at, I see like between 10 and 15% over asking price. That is nuts. I thought we're like in a pandemic, and yet you can't find housing in Orange County. In our neighborhood, a house goes up in less than 24 hours. They'll have anywhere between 6 to 10 bids over the asking price. So now
Mm-hmm.
we got real estate brokers constantly. But I told my wife, if we sell our house, where are we going to move? Yeah. We got to move out of state. Yeah, you know. So, so in that sense, that market is absolutely crazy. The rest
Yeah.
with the retail shops, I think they're holding tight is because they know it's going to recover. And just like you said earlier, these guys are still have mortgages to pay. Landlords are not getting a break either. The
Right.
office space is going to be interesting 2021 and 22.
Oh, yeah.
Holy cow.
Right.
I would not want to be a landlord that owns office space because things are going to change for sure. The new model is going to be very interesting. The work from home models moving
Yeah.
forward.
Well, what I think is going to happen is there's going to be this when somebody moves down, it's going to be like the fish in the river, right? You take the big fish out, and an hour later, the next fish comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might be a smaller one, but he's there. And I think there's something about that that's going to happen. I mean, everybody needs a place to be, and if it's not at home, it's going to be in a commercial space. And so they're, you know, if they got 30,000 square feet now, maybe they go to 20, maybe they go to 15, but they're going to move down, and somebody else is going to move down into their space. So it's going to be this whole thing, and it's my commercial brokers who I'm excited for them because every time somebody moves, they get paid.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a stockbroker. They get paid on the way up and on the way down. Same thing with commercial real estate. Somebody moves up, they get paid. But on the same time, as they move down, they're going to get paid. And so they just got to be very flexible and ready to move around right now. But it's going to be interesting to see how the whole marketplace starts competing for these people who are all moving.
I think so. You're 100% correct. I think it's going to be, that's why I think it's going to be interesting for the office space. I think warehousing, we're fine. People still need to store things, and those offices are going to be filled. They're fine on the storage. Warehousing, I think, is still going to be rising in Southern California overall.
Oh,
it's just,
you go out to Riverside. You go out to
nuts.
Riverside and look at, I mean, they're still throwing up big buildings for logistics. Because, you know, we're going to be, you know, what I've discovered is we're still importing even more things from China now. I mean, it's going to keep coming through the ports here.
Oh my God! Every night on the way home, I see the boats all lined up to Long Beach and LA ports. I mean, we're buying so much from overseas; it's unbelievable.
Yes.
Yeah, but I totally 100% agree with you. The office people are going to just shift around, but that's why it's going to be so interesting for the next year or two for them.
Right.
It's going to be a good space for real estate brokers. I think you're absolutely 100% correct. They're going to be going crazy. It's just a matter of how they balance the space with the landlord. That's going to be so interesting.
Yeah. Well, and the landlord doesn't have a whole lot of room to negotiate his rent because the same thing. He's got a mortgage to pay.
Absolutely.
Right. And so it's really how do I attract people in here? What do I have to throw in the mix to get people as they're moving to consider me? It's going to be interesting. Going to be very interesting. Yeah. Well, what have been the places where you have been making a significant difference in I don't know how to put it. It's not just social services, but nonprofits. You know, dealing with the awareness that we have now about how many people have been just left behind or left out. I know that you guys do a lot of things like that. So what have you specifically been doing? I'm curious.
Well, Wahoos in general is, my brother Wayne's been doing a phenomenal job about rallying all kinds of partnerships to make sure that we don't leave people behind. But we've been mostly working with frontliners to make sure that they're always being taken care of, because we need them. I mean, we're talking nurses, people at the hospital. It's still crucial. They're working overtime to make sure that we get through this pandemic a little clearer. And then for the rest of us, it's like it's been a really weird fundraising time, because there's been none. I mean, really, everything is virtual, and it's been tough on all everything else. So our thing is we've been really focusing with Wing to make sure most of the stuff, like for instance, like we're getting ready for our team. Um, I think 2021, everything is going to change again. One of my favorite events is Okapika, Tastemakers. I think we're going to get back in there. We're going to hopefully get with Golden Rule, which fundraises for all the restaurant employees. I think people need to get on that website and look at it, because they still have thousands of applicants every day trying to get money to pay their bills for the restaurant workers. So they can apply there. There's a lot of great organization, even Thomas House. All these guys are now shifting their little bit of what they're doing to meet the needs of people that I can't afford to buy, literally pay for electric bill. So this year is going to be about getting back, and if we can get everybody, by the way, back to work, that resolves part of the problem too. So our goal is to get everybody back to work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So how has the video conferencing and Zoom and all of that, how has that affected your business?
Well, Wahoos relies a lot on the lunch crowd. We position ourselves as a lunch restaurant. And so we got hit hard. I mean, we were down, I think the first month, everybody was down like 80%. We scratched and pivoted. Of course, Wing's done a tremendous job again, and my little brother Mingo, a tremendous job of putting a team together that we can pivot mostly to go. This Zooming thing, hopefully, it's been really hard because people are not going out to eat as much last year. We're seeing now the increase of people now starting to move around, but because they can't sit and eat at Wahoos, or we just started patio about a month and a half ago. So people are finally starting to get into coming out. I think a lot of people, like you said, they're going to be stuck at home. They're not going to want to come out and play for a while, and that's okay too. But this teleconferencing has hurt all kinds of industries, specific restaurants that are based on lunch. And of course, when they're home Zooming, they can't leave, so they got to go and get to the food delivery. So it's a double whammy constantly in our minds. Oh, we've got to get these people. I got to get Wing to go do deliveries.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that's interesting. Now, are you guys working via Zoom for your leadership team?
No, we're actually mostly here in our office. Most of us we're really separate. Our corporate office structure is only about 10 people or less per day. Our district manager are always on the field, so most of them don't even have an office or a desk in our corporate structure. So mostly, like, I'm in my own bubble all the time, and I am Zooming with like our attorneys or our accountant, or just not even Zooming, just mostly phone calls now. This last year, the car has become more of an office space than anything else, because as funny as everybody thinks, I'm always on the cell phone, which is terrible that I'm talking to somebody, but I'm also doing deliveries with Wing. Wing and I deliver not only food to other places, but something goes wrong. It's, hey, Cisco, because there's so many problems, moving things around, like, hey, we're out of cheese. And you're like, oh, shoot, So I'll drive up to the cheese place and go, hey, I need 20 cases of cheese. And I'll call Wingers, where the hell are you? He's like, I'm on my way to go serve. No, you're not. Meet me over, in the middle somewhere. And we split 10 boxes each and we go our separate ways. And that's been like that the whole year, running out of tortillas. I mean, it's like the funny thing is like, oh, you can't run out of tortillas, you're fish tacos, tacos. And if I don't have tortillas, we're just fish. So Wing and I have been doing that kind of delivery. People see us, our team sees us almost every week, and they laugh. They're like, are you sure these two clowns own Wahoos? Because they're like delivering stuff all the time to us, cups. So wherever anything that runs out, we don't have a backup team, so it's Wing and I get on the road and go deliver cups, forks, cheese, tortillas. You get whatever falls off a truck, we'll go get it, pick it up, and take it to our stores.
Ed, let me ask you, Are you having as much fun as it seems like you're having?
You know, it's enjoyable because I still hang out with my brothers. I know we don't get along all the time, but when we
Uh-huh.
surf, I'll tell you, there's nothing better than surfing with your brothers or having a glass of wine. Um, and if you ever, yeah, I guess you're going to sit down with Wing one day anyway. He's super positive
Yeah.
all the time. We surf.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
say, if you can say I surf, you better not be saying you're having a bad day all the time. You just can't. I'll slap you in the,
Yeah.
I'll slap you in the back of the head and say, "Oh, I went surfing. Today was a bad day." Dude, you went surfing. It's always going to be a good day. I love. Uh, I know that Wing hates the story, and it's kind of funny. But a couple years ago, he switched out boards. He went and got a longer board, and I'm like, "What a jerk!" So he pedals off the rock, and I flip him off, like, like, dude, what the heck? What'd you do that for? And this kid then next to us, did you just flip off the Wahoos guy? And I said, oh, yeah, but don't worry, he's my brother, so it's okay if I flip him off. But that's why I think our days, we have super, super stressful days. You know what I mean? There's days where we
Yeah.
don't want to be here at all, just like everybody else in their
Mhm.
lives. If you're going to work and you're not stressing, you're not working. Right? So, but if you say I surfed the other day, then you got a lot less to complain about than the guy next to you. So
That's right.
that's the way I look at
That's
it.
right. That's right.
I surf. Over the weekend, I was scrambling because my little headache was I needed to find a new board bag for my new monster board. And, so again, I got zero to complain. I have Wing and I,
Yeah.
we look at our lives and I'm like, hey, even at our worst day, we're still going to be okay.
Yeah. Well, I really think that that is true for everybody if they choose to do that. If they make that choice, uh, it's not so much what happens to us; it's how we react to it. It's what we do with it. And goodness, with what happened to restaurants, people could just
Oh,
be crazy right now. On the other hand, people make it through, and the people who make it through, the people who thrive, are the ones who recognize that this is all a game and we're learning how to play it. We've just had a whole new board game thrown at us, and so let's treat this like a video game that's brand new. We're going to learn how to do it.
yeah.
And that, you know that's a metaphor, but it's having a positive metaphor that's going to help us to move forward, that I just find so exciting. Now, I don't know if that's true around the country. I find it true here in Orange County over and over again.
Yeah, the one part that our industry always is awesome about being in the restaurant business is that we get together as chef owners or restaurant owners, a lot of our friends, and you break bread with these guys, and they're all thankful no matter what. I mean, they still give back
Mm-hmm.
tremendously. I can go through. I'll be here for hours naming some of the most amazing chefs but they all give back. We break bread and we complain about certain things, but we all look at each other as we've been super blessed to do what we like, enjoy our industry, and have a
Mm-hmm.
great glass of wine, and things are fine. Not fine, but you just got to be positive. I don't think I hang out with
Yeah,
anybody that's really super negative, and that's probably the best thing for me too.
sure, sure. Well, it becomes a self reinforcing cycle. When you're with positive people, you become positive, whether
Yeah,
you are or not. And I think that's really important to listen to people who have that kind of exciting, entrepreneurial, innovative, can do it spirit, and also who enjoy it.
yeah,
Some of my fellow EOS implementers, they get caught up in building their practice, and sometimes they forget that the EOS life really has to do with only doing the things that you really love doing, only working with people that you really like working with, making a significant contribution, being paid appropriately, but then having enough time to do all those other things, surfing, all
yeah,
those other things that you're passionate about. If you have those five things, my goodness, what else could you want?
exactly. Exactly. Amen to that, right? That's what life is all about. To be able to work, enjoy what you do, and then have that time to yourself. So for us is, gosh, I can't wait for the airlines to reopen full time, get into warm water with my brothers. That's life. That is, I
Yeah.
think, the once a year, you can put everything aside. Yeah, it's priceless. Absolutely priceless.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't have to be a millionaire to do that.
Absolutely not. No.
No, you just have to choose. That's what I want to do.
Yeah. No, luckily, all the entrepreneurs, restaurateur wise, they all have great hobbies. From whether it's golfing, which always makes that I'm horrible at. And by the way, Wing is a great golfer, so is Mingo. So, but those two guys make me laugh. But everybody's got to have a side hobby to do outside of their work.
Yeah.
If not, it's crazy out there. And this is the 2020 for us for sure. I mean, Wing and I and my little brother Mingo have been in business 33 years. And 2020 by far was the worst of all when it came to business handling, because we had no idea what the next day was going to bring. None of us had an idea. So that was made us scary.
Well, all right. So let me ask. When you say it was the worst, could you say that it was the most challenging?
Yes.
All right. Now let me ask you one more question. Do you thrive on challenge?
We learned to thrive on challenge for sure. I mean, my little brother and I, absolutely. To survive, you got to be able to pivot. I mean, each time that we've gone through a downturn, boy, we really learned a lot of lessons, and I think it made us better.
Yeah.
It made us better.
Of course.
Yeah, what doesn't kill you make you stronger.
Well, yeah, but it's that understanding that we either succeed or we learn.
Yeah.
Right? There's no ultimate failure. We either succeed or we learn something from it. Absolutely. And we have all learned a lot in the last 12 months.
No doubt about it. Every industry has learned a lot. Pivoting, repivoting. Yeah. No, again, we were blessed that we were conservative. We worked hard. We put our act together. Everybody rolled up their sleeves. I mean, there's not a single person in our company that not roll up their sleeve and start pitching in wherever they could. And so we then, my little brother's done an amazing job with the company. So very blessed.
Yeah. I'd like to meet him sometime.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. I'm going to send you a couple of books because I want to share with you one of the things we're talking about, this entrepreneurial thing. Gino Wickman, the guy who started EOS, is really interested in learning and also sharing with youngsters, high school kids, college kids, and maybe some of your early restaurateurs, helping them to learn what it means to be an entrepreneur, because not everybody's cut out to be an entrepreneur. But I'm going to send you his book on Leap, and maybe we have a conversation about it, because I'd like to, because if we get a group together, he'll get on Zoom with us and talk to them directly about how to take advantage of what it is to be an entrepreneur.
Oh, that'd be great.
Good. All right. So what else do you want to say other than thanks that we're all still here? What would you like to tell the folks that are listening?
Well, there's a lot of people that supported not only Wahoos, but Toast. So I'm very thankful for all of them. We had so many amazing customers that really pulled together. And then I'm very thankful for all the people that supported the Love Drop with Wing and Eric Morley from Blue Sea. They did a tremendous job putting that program together. They already have dropped off more than 200 meals in the last year, and they continue dropping off.
200, not 200.
200 meals.
200?
The 200 drops.
All right.
200 drops. So it's
200
thousands of
drops.
meals. Yeah,
Right.
200 drops, not 200 meals. Sorry.
Right.
My apologies. But yeah, they dropped off thousands of meals. And that, I wish I had the whole list, but when Wing gets on the interview with you, have him name all his partners. But Eric over Blue Sea, I caught him on your being interviewed by you, but Wing and Eric were the sort of like started them together. So I had nothing to do with the rest of us here at Wahoos, but those two guys, over 200 drops, so I'm really proud of what they've been able to do while we're even in this craziness. So, and then for all the people that come out, continue supporting us. Thank you. Amazing.
That's great. That's great. Well, we look forward to getting back to Wahoos and having a few more fish tacos.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Ed. And this is just one more example of how businesses, even in the midst of all this weirdness around COVID, continue to thrive in California.
You've been listening to The Pilgrim on the 405 with Will Christ. To hear more of the programs in this podcast, go to www.willchrist.com.